Okay, so picture this. There's a secret complaint. A complaint so sensitive that it's literally locked away in an intelligence agency's safe. And it's aimed right at America's top spy, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Today, we're going to try and pick that lock and see what this high-stakes mystery is all about. And that really brings us to the core question, right? What on earth could be in this document? I mean, for it to be physically locked up, kept away even from the eyes of Congress, well, that's what we're going to dive into. At the center of this whole thing is a whistleblower complaint filed directly against the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Nobody knows what's inside it, but the fight over how it was handled, that has become very, very public.
So first things first, let's try to get our arms around the complaint itself. What exactly is this document that's stirring up so much trouble?
So from what we know, this is not your run-of-the-mill complaint. We're talking about something with, and this is a quote, exceptionally sensitive materials. It supposedly involves another federal agency and, get this, it might even bring up issues of executive privilege. You know, that's the power the White House has to keep some things under wraps. When you mix all that together, well, you can see why everyone's walking on eggshells.
Now, to really get what's going on, you have to know who the key players are. There are basically 4 main parties at the center of this whole dispute, and each one has a very specific role. Okay, so on one side, you've got DNI Tulsi Gabbard. She's the one the complaint is about, and her office, which is running the defense. Then, on the other side, you have the anonymous whistleblower, who's being represented by the attorney Andrew Bakaj. And stuck right in the middle of it all is the Intelligence Community Inspector General, or ICIG. Think of them as the official referee.
So what's the big fight actually about? Interestingly, it's not about what's in the complaint, since we don't know. It's about the process. And specifically, it's an accusation that there was a huge delay. And here's where it gets really pointed. The whistleblower's lawyer, Andrew Bakaj, he doesn't mince words. He says, and I'm quoting here, "It is confounding for Gabbard's office to take weeks, let alone 8 months, to transmit a disclosure to Congress." 8 months. That's the heart of the accusation right there. Not what's in the complaint, but why it took so long to get where it needed to go. Let's just walk through this timeline to see what he's talking about. The complaint gets filed all the way back in May. Then, nothing happens for a while. In October, a new inspector general is appointed. A month later, in November, Bakaj fires off a letter complaining about the delay. But it's not until February that we get confirmation the complaint has finally landed with the Congressional Intelligence Committees. That's the 8-month gap everyone's talking about. But of course, there are 2 sides to every story. And the Director of National Intelligence's office, well, they have a completely different interpretation of this timeline and what they were required to do. And their response is, shall we say, direct. A spokesperson for the DNI said there was, quote, absolutely no wrongdoing. And here's the key to their defense. They claim that the Inspector General's office itself decided the whistleblower's claims against Gabbard, quote, did not appear credible. All right, so let's break down their side of the argument. Point 1, they say the Inspector General looked at this and basically said it wasn't credible. Because of that, point 2, they argue there was no legal rush to send it over to Congress. They also claim they weren't even asked for guidance until October when a new IG came in. And once they were asked, they say they provided it pretty quickly. And the bottom line from their perspective is that the complaint is now where it's supposed to be with the congressional committees. Now, you really can't look at this fight over rules and procedures without seeing the political world it's happening in. The main people involved here have some pretty significant and politically charged histories.
And you just can't ignore the political history here. It's kind of charged. The lawyer, Andrew Bakaj, he's the very same attorney who represented the whistleblower in the case that sparked President Trump's first impeachment. And on the other side, DNI Gabbard is a key figure in the administration's own investigations into the 2020 election. So yeah, you can see how this isn't just a simple procedural dispute. There's a lot of history and a ton of political tension simmering just below the surface.
And that's the wild part. After all of this back and forth about timelines and credibility and who was supposed to do what, we are right back where we started. We know all about the fight over the complaint, but we still know absolutely nothing about what's actually in it. Which leaves us with a million-dollar question, doesn't it? The complaint has finally made it to the House and Senate Intelligence Committees, but considering just how exceptionally sensitive everyone says it is, will we, the public, ever really find out what secrets are locked inside? I guess that's the biggest secret of them all.